Hello fellow parents, welcome back to my channel, Mom in France. Today we are talking all about the 5 things that I struggled most with when I first moved to France as a new mom. Stay tuned. Number 1, finding a pediatrician. Actually, before I start, I have to say that in France it's not obligatory to have a pediatrician. It's perfectly fine to have a general practitioner. And this is indeed the case for about 80% of children in France. I didn't know this at the beginning. I was quite surprised when I found out. For me, it was just like an automatic thing to look for a pediatrician. So what I did, I went down to my local PMI, and that stands for Protection Maternelle Infantile. That's a government organization that will provide all kinds of child services for all children under the age of 6. Once I got my list, what I did is I was new to the area. I didn't really know like who I should call, so I just went down the list. And what happened was I would like call and not get an answer. And that was quite like a surprise because I wasn't calling like outside of typical office hours. It wasn't like a holiday. Anyways, when I did get an answer, I was quite surprised that like it was common that I would hear, "Oh, hello, no, we're not taking on new patients, bye," slam down the phone. So yeah, a couple of like rude secretaries, but whatever. So yeah, but when I finally did get my an answer, it was directly with a doctor. It wasn't with a secretary. And from there I got an appointment, and finally it turned out to be okay. I was lucky actually in this sense because the first pediatrician who I contacted actually ended up working out quite well. We had a good communication right from the start, so that was really good from that point on. It's just like the finding it that was a problem. In France, especially if you're not located in or near a larger city, there are fewer healthcare providers in general, and it can be quite a challenge to find someone to provide you healthcare. If you want me to make a video on the PMI, let me know in the comments below and I'll be sure to do that. Number 2, finding childcare compatible with your personal needs. Now in France there are many options for childcare. So you could have anywhere from just a university student who lives down the road coming in for a few hours to an assistante maternelle, that's someone who has like a private daycare that can take between 1 to 4 babies in their own home, to a private nanny that comes to your house that you find separately or that you get through an agency, to state subsidized, government organized daycare. And of this, there are many types. It could be an haute garderie, which is a little bit similar to crèche, which is daycare. So there are many options. The thing is, you have to think also about paying, obviously. So in France, if you're going to be working full-time and you need a full-time babysitter from Monday to Friday, you're looking at, maybe it depends on where you're living, but it could be about 1,000-ish euros per month, everything included. So yeah, you could of course just like pay yourself, but if in France, like every babysitting option can be subsidized. You can have it partially reimbursed by the French government. So you really want to do that, especially considering that if you're on a French salary, like the minimum wage is not a lot more than 1,000 euros. And like the average like sort of professional wage could be like between 2,000 and 3,000 euros a month for one person. If your partner is also working, obviously it would be more than that. But yeah, it's whatever way you turn it, it's going to be a substantial portion of your salary to pay for childcare for one child, and if you have more than one child, obviously it's going to be more than that. So yeah, if you're really going to want to go into getting these state reimbursements, and in order to do that, you have to go through CAF and Pajemploi. Those are government organizations. You can sign up with them through through websites, and to do that you have to provide documents, France, paperwork, and it's honestly a bit of a headache. Then once you're signed up, you have to declare how much you're paying each month in order to have that part of that reimbursed into your bank account. Beyond that, there's another point as well to consider, which is in France, since these childcare workers are employees, they follow really quite closely the academic year in France. So everything starts in September, generally is on a 12-month contract, and then will go through the whole year. You would sign a contract at in September to go the whole year. That's like the standard. But of course, you know, it's not going to be that you need childcare only starting from September every time. So if you need to start in the middle of the year in March or in the summer, you want to have just a few months, you don't want to have full time, that's going to be a lot more difficult finding someone, because the childcare workers have probably got their places already filled in September. And then another thing you want to consider as well is the holiday schedule, because like everything else in France, of course, many people will go on vacation during the school holidays. If your babysitter is going to be on holiday for a week around Halloween, then you have to like plan for that in advance as well. So for me, this ended up being a big struggle, because actually what happened was I had signed up with a nanny who I would bring my baby to her house. She had another couple babies there. I was full-time with her, but she actually ended up quitting at the end of September. So this was a big struggle, especially because at that point, you know, all the other places were full. And in order to find someone else that fit everything, personal preferences, location, cost, contract hours, the number they had place available, that I didn't actually end up finding someone else. This is like crazy, but like until the end of January. So it was like about 4 months without childcare, and that was like a really stressful time. And if you have to look for childcare in those circumstances, you're likely also to struggle with that. So for me, that was definitely one of the biggest struggles. Number 3, paperwork, administration, documents, paying your babysitter, declaring your salary, signing up with CAF, Pajemploi, carte de séjour, carte d'identité, identity card, your bank, livret de famille, carnet de santé, car insurance, birth certificate, translating your documents. No, seriously, documents, paperwork, administration, that is a big source of stress for me in France. Okay, it's a little bit better now, but at the beginning it was totally crazy. Trust me on this one. If you don't come out the other end with a few brain cells less than when you started, you are my hero. The administration here, like, they always want exactly the right document. Like, if you don't get it right the first time, you have to go back and send it again. Sometimes, I believe in France as well, things get lost. So that was definitely a big challenge for me, and it took a lot of my energy and my time. Number 4, misunderstandings. So when I moved to France 6 years ago, it wasn't the first time I lived here. I had lived here as a teenager, so I already knew the language. My French was really rusty. I hadn't practiced it in many years, but I did know and understand French. However, what I'm talking about now is not about the language, but just things that you don't understand just because, I don't know, you don't get it. Because people, you just do things differently, like from where you are, from where you came from. It's definitely a learning curve. There's so many things that you just can miss out on just because you don't know how the system works here. I would end up making mistakes, losing time, taking extra time to do things that should have been easy, not knowing where to go. That was definitely a source of stress for me and struggle at the beginning, and I guess I'm still learning. So yeah, but I'm a little better at it now after having been here a number of years. Yeah, so even though I had been living in France before, this still was a struggle for me because it's a completely different experience living here as a teenager or a young adult single person compared to living here as an adult and a parent. So just to give you a couple of examples, this is a bit later when my daughter first signed up for preschool. I had done all the inscription, the signing up, brought on the documents, but I didn't know that after some time had gone by, I had to bring in my updated tax form. Now the reason for this is because although school is actually free, public school in France is free, you don't pay for it, like additional things like school lunches and after school activities, if you have your kids signed up for that, you have to pay for that. So just like the babysitters, this is funded by the state, by the French government, and you pay according to how much revenue you have. You have different levels. So unless you have a really high salary, you're probably not going to be paying full cost. So what happened to me is that I didn't know that I was supposed to bring in my tax form, of course, because I'm sure it was written somewhere, but everybody else just did it automatically without looking it up, and I didn't know that you were supposed to do it. Everything was fine for a while until all of a sudden I get like a bill at home that's like a lot bigger than what I expected. So that was just one of my mistakes. Number 5, isolation. So one of the biggest things I struggled with was definitely isolation. You know, I was a new mom. I had all my responsibilities, had to take care of my newborn, then later my toddler. I had to go to appointments, go do this and that, do my paperwork, admin. I was just kept busy by everything, and I had lived here in a really, really long time, and it was definitely a very isolating experience. So at first, when I arrived here, I really wanted to get to know like friends, local people, French people, why not? And it just really didn't happen. You know, the French are notorious, I guess I know now, for being the type of culturally people who will develop more long-term friendships, be with family, maintain those contacts for a long time, and they'll be more difficult to just casually chat with on the street, or make more of these easy, fast friendships that maybe aren't quite so deep. So that's good in one sense, but if you're just arrived here, it's definitely a big challenge, because especially if your partner works and they're out all day, or even if you're working, but I find that you don't tend to make friendships at work as much as like other places where I used to live. So that was definitely a big challenge for me. I was overwhelmed, tired with my parenting responsibilities, and on the other hand, I didn't have my social contacts. So I couldn't just call up someone, hey, do you want to grab a coffee? I need a break for half an hour, or you know, I need help with something, I need some advice, there's something broken, do you know where I can go to the store to get it fixed? That definitely wasn't available to me, and it really made things a lot harder for me. So arriving from another country to be a new parent, that was definitely a big struggle for me. For me, that really began to change little by little as my daughter began to go to friends' house. She got friends at school. It's still in the process, but definitely it's different now than in the beginning. Not all of the parents whose kids she's friends with are actually very open to friendships either, but it's still a little better. Like little by little, you're going to find one of those people who you get along with, who you can chat with. My daughter, she interacts with kids more, so there is hope. But you just have to be patient and keep at it. And in the meantime, you go on different Facebook groups of foreign moms, foreign dads, and hang out with expats. They're usually more open to friendships because they're also like you. They're more alone, and that's definitely what I did. Okay, so that's all I have for you today. If you want to continue watching videos like this, you can support me by subscribing to my channel, giving me a like, leave a comment below. Let me know what other kind of videos you want to see, if you have any questions. And don't forget to click the notification bell so that you will be notified every time I put out a new video. Thank you for watching. Have a great day wherever you are. Bye-bye.